Welcome, everybody, and Happy New Year. This is the Fins Nation show on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am your host, Louis Sung, and believe me, folks, we've got a lot to say. If you are up at 5 a.m. listening to this as it premieres, for number one, I feel sorry for you. You must be going to work, even though you were probably up until midnight last night celebrating the new year and probably trying to get over what you just witnessed on Sunday, which is the Miami Dolphins getting absolutely shellacked by the Baltimore Ravens. There is no way that I can properly explain how it went wrong for Miami. It seems like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Just Murphy's Law type of nonsense that we watched on Sunday. I'm going to get into everything and how I was feeling throughout this whole thing, and I'm just going to go ahead and point out this is something that I brought up in the past, and I feel like this is a situation, this is a problem that the Miami Dolphins have. I do not think it can be fixed this offseason, and if it's going to be fixed next offseason, then it has to first be a problem that the Miami Dolphins have to acknowledge is actually a problem. Whether they will do that or not, I do not know. Hopefully they will learn a lesson, and hopefully they will go ahead and they will do something about it. But before that, really quick, just want to go ahead and mention that, as always, this show is brought to you by our good friends over at PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks.com is a revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues. Whether that is the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, one of each, it is up to you to decide. Just choose whether your chosen player will get more or less than their projected stat. They give you free squares, special Taco Tuesday promos, Flex Friday specials where you can get your money back if you lose or multiply the amount of money you can normally win. With offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up if you are any kind of a fantasy sports fan. So use the promo code 5, that's F-I-V-E, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. Again, that's promo code 5, F-I-V-E. Go to PrizePicks.com, deposit your $100, and let PrizePicks give you $100 of their dollars for you to play with and get started winning today. And this show is also affiliate sponsored by My Nintendo Store. Make sure you check out the links in the description below to go ahead and make your orders. They are still having those special items that you can go ahead and get your hands on when you order using those links down below. You have Super Mario RPG, you have Super Mario Bros. Wonder, both awesome games that gamers and critics alike basically unanimously agree is the next best thing coming out of Nintendo. So make sure you go ahead and get those games. I know Christmas is over, but it's still not too late to go ahead and enjoy some fresh content. So once again, use the links in the description below to make your purchase, and you will receive bonus items upon doing so. My Nintendo Store, your fastest and easiest way to the world of Nintendo. All right, folks, let's get this over with, shall we? Here's the reality of the situation that I feel like is something that I've brought up many times before, and folks have agreed with me. Some people have called me stupid for it, but I think after watching what the Baltimore Ravens did to Miami, I feel like this is where we have to finally settle into reality here. The Miami Dolphins are, unfortunately, a soft football team. They are. They are not a football team that can contend with bigger, stronger football teams that have their entire identity set in the idea that they are going to punch you in the mouth, laugh at you for it, then punch you again until you bleed, until you fall on the floor, then they'll laugh at you some more, and then they will step on your throat until they choke you to death. That is literally what the Ravens did to them on Sunday. Miami had no chance of doing anything the entire game. The one time that it felt like they might have been able to make a comeback, stupid mistakes were made. Execution failures. What is Tyreek Hill doing? The supposed MVP of the Miami Dolphins, right? If you are an MVP candidate, you cannot be catching passes in the end zone and then uncatching them before it can be called a touchdown. What is Tyreek Hill doing? This is something that has been a problem with him in all of the big games that the Miami Dolphins have had this season. He dropped 2 touchdowns, it feels like, against the Philadelphia Eagles. He made a crucial mistake against the Kansas City Chiefs that ultimately led to the Chiefs winning that game against Miami in Germany. As a little reminder for everybody, the Miami Dolphins completely shut down the Kansas City Chiefs offense in the second half. And the Miami Dolphins easily could have won that game, but they didn't, because they couldn't stop making stupid mistakes against a team that, quite frankly, was more physical than they were. They were. The Kansas City Chiefs were more physical. The Philadelphia Eagles were more physical. The Buffalo Bills, when we faced them the first time, were more physical. And now, here we are. We have the 5th loss of the season to the Baltimore Ravens, and they are arguably the most physical team in football. Nobody else can do what they do. And by the way, MVP Lamar Jackson. He is going to win the MVP, and guess what? He deserves it because he is the. I'm calling it now, and anybody can argue with me if you want. If you want to argue with me in the comments, feel free to do so. But I'm telling you right now, Lamar Jackson is the best player in the NFL. Don't give me Patrick Mahomes. Don't give me Josh Allen. Don't give me any of these other guys. Nobody has done more with less in the entire league than Lamar Jackson. You look at the weapons that Lamar Jackson has. You have Zay Flowers, okay. You have the tail end of Odell Beckham Jr. You have Rashad Bateman, who's been on and off all season long. You have running backs in Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, who are good. I'm sure that there are a lot of Ravens people who are like, oh, they're really good. Yeah, but does anybody really know who they are? No. Lamar Jackson, you want to talk about putting the team on his back? He is the only player in the entire league that can quite literally win the games by himself with no help. Because Patrick Mahomes can run a little bit, but he can't do what Lamar Jackson does. And whenever Josh Allen starts playing hero ball, he starts making really, really, really bad mistakes. That's why they have him stop throwing the football as of late. Lamar Jackson can throw from the pocket. He can throw on the run. He can throw from his rear end. He can run the ball better than most running backs can. He is the MVP and he deserves it. And as for John Harbaugh, year in and year out, man, he knows how to get his team ready for the playoffs. And quite frankly, it feels like the playoffs for Baltimore a lot of the times is a foregone conclusion. That's how good they are. And that's unfortunate that the Dolphins had to run into them and just completely lay an egg. Listen, we were doing post-game show, and you guys can go check that out. It was a really good show. It's very sad that it takes the Dolphins losing for our numbers to go up. I made a note that it seems like Dolphins fans seem to enjoy when the team loses more than when they win, because that's when our numbers go up on the network, which is very sad. I wish that more people would show up for when they're winning. But my good friend, Chris Early, otherwise known as Duke, made a comment that I could not have disagreed with more. And he was saying that he doesn't really care about the final score. He had already chalked up the Ravens to win that game. And guess what? Everybody on the pregame show, myself included, had also chalked up the Ravens to win that game. But here's the problem. We went ahead and said that the Dolphins would actually keep this game competitive. So for Duke to say he doesn't care about the final score, that's where I have my issue. I 100% care about the final score. If, for instance, the Miami Dolphins had lost this game 49-56, I would not be quite as upset. If the Miami Dolphins had lost this game 19-21 or even 24, I would not be this upset. They got beat from the moment the gun went off. They had already lost the game. The Ravens were able to run the football effectively. They threw the ball to wide open receivers. And why were these receivers wide open? I don't see anybody particularly dangerous aside from maybe Zay Flowers. Lamar Jackson doesn't have Mark Andrews. He doesn't have a lot of his top weapons. How are they doing what they're doing? Aside from that, they are just that good. And it's inexcusable how the Dolphins just could not stop anything. They stopped almost nothing. It felt like the Ravens were scoring touchdowns at will, and the most of the Dolphins could muster was a couple of field goals. And mind you, once again, this is because of what? The lack of Raheem Mostert because he was inactive? No, it had nothing to do with that. Devon Achane was doing a fantastic job. He was running the football effectively. He got caught from behind a couple of times because some of these big dudes, like, oh my God, I didn't think I'd ever see a bowling ball like Vince Wilfork ever again. But one of those Ravens defenders, he's that kind of guy again. Unbelievable. I'm just looking at everything that I saw on Sunday and thinking to myself, this team is always going to lay an egg when they run into bigger, stronger football teams. Every single time. And I said it, strength beats speed every time. And so far, I have yet to be proven wrong on that. And it's sad that that is the case. These really good football teams, the ones that are physical, the ones that beat you down, the ones that bully you, and people are talking about how the Ravens were classless because Tyler Huntley went ahead and threw a touchdown in the end zone after the game had already been way overly done. The game was already over. Everybody's backups were already in. And mind you, this is after Bradley Chubb's injury, just to really stick a pin in the little voodoo doll that is the Miami Dolphins season. Just mess it up even more. Now you have the Baltimore Ravens running up the score on Miami, and people talking about how classless it is. Yeah, well, you know what? Honestly, that's exactly what bully football teams do. For better or worse, whether you like it or not. I don't like it. I hate it, in fact. But quite frankly, the Dolphins deserved it. They ran up the score on them because they could. And again, like I mentioned, the Baltimore Ravens are a team that will punch you in the mouth, punch you again until you bleed, step on you once you're on the ground bleeding, and then choke you to death. That's what they do. That is what the Baltimore Ravens are built on. That is their identity. And quite frankly, as much as I hate to admit it, that is probably the reason why year in and year out, they always manage to stick around to the very end like something stuck in your craw and you can't get it out no matter how much you clear your throat. It's just, they're always there. You can't get rid of them. And that's why. Because they're physical, they're strong, they're well coached, they have very good talent on both sides of the football. How do you beat that? The only way, and mind you, I know we beat them last season in the fourth quarter out of just miraculous play by Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill. But guess what? The Ravens were ready for it this time. They kept Tyreek Hill boxed up. They couldn't go deep. They couldn't really do much of anything. And you can chalk that up to the fact that the offensive line was in shambles, which it was. Tua had barely any time to really do much of anything. He had to throw many balls in the dirt. He got sacked. He couldn't move up in the pocket. And you can chalk that up to him not being athletic as a quarterback. You can chalk that up to the fact that Tua doesn't run very often, and when he does, it doesn't look particularly graceful. All of those things can be true at the same time. I'm not going to pin this game on Tua. A lot of people are. They're looking at Lamar Jackson and saying, why can't we have a guy like that instead? Because those kind of guys are just generational. You don't get guys like that every other day. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Those are the only three guys who can do it. Nobody else in the league can do what they do. Nobody. So to expect Tua to do it, it's a pipe dream. I still firmly believe that Tua Tagovailoa can be an elite quarterback in this league. I truly believe it because the accuracy that he has when things are going well. Yes, when things are going well. That is a key point. If you are looking at a football team, think about it like this. If you have to wait for your quarterback to do something incredible, something miraculous, when everything is falling apart around him, don't you think that that might be more of a problem with the entire team in general and not just your quarterback? And before anybody starts making questions and questioning me about the whole, well, isn't that Ryan Tannehill's thing? No, it's not. Because we could tell now, we've seen what Ryan Tannehill is when everything is around him and going well. We've already seen it. It's better, but it's not great. We've seen what Tua can do when everything is on time. We've seen what Tua can do when he has his weapons, when he has time to throw the football. You want him to be able to find guys and not have to look at his first read every single time. You want him to be able to do stuff like that. Tua throws the ball and gets rid of it faster than any other quarterback in the NFL. You have to question that. How much of that is by design and how much of it is just raw necessity? Because you know that if the offensive line actually has to stop Tua from getting sacked more than 2 seconds into the snap, you have a problem there. We've been crediting Butch Barry all this time for making something out of nothing, and I still give him that credit. But at some point, you have to have some level of talent that you can count on because the first read is not always going to be open. You may have situations where you're going to have to extend a play. You're going to have to be able to give Tua a little bit of room to maneuver because he is not an athlete that came from outer space like Josh Allen. He is not the most athletically gifted human being that ever born on this planet like Lamar Jackson. You don't have guys like that all over the place. There's a reason there's only 3 of them. Nobody else comes close. Tua is Drew Brees. And you have to understand what comes with that. If you are looking at saying Tua is Drew Brees, then understand that he also comes with Drew Brees' physical limitations. Drew Brees does not have a cannon for an arm. He did not have a cannon. He never had one. Drew Brees is not the biggest guy. He is not the strongest guy. He is not the fastest guy. Even at the prime of his career, that was not his game. He was accurate as all get out. He had the ability to anticipate where players were going to be. He had the ability to move defenses with his eyes. He had the ability to do incredible things. Tua can do all of those things, but he needs time to do it. And to look at Tua Tagovailoa and suddenly say that he's not the guy because he wasn't able to do something miraculous with the football, you are asking him to be somebody he is not. You want him to be Lamar Jackson. You want him to be Josh Allen. You want him to be Patrick Mahomes. He's not. He will never be. He could become a Hall of Fame quarterback. He is not going to be those guys. It's not his game. So for him to get, if you're going to get the most out of left-handed Drew Brees, which is what Tua Tagovailoa is, you have to understand that you have to put the pieces around him, or at least come up with a game plan that will actually use the skill set that is available to him. If Tua has to run away and run for his life, because after 2 seconds, if he still has to hold on to the football because he hasn't found an open receiver, then you have a problem. You need guys who are going to protect him. Lamar Jackson had all day to throw that football on Sunday. All day. Bradley Chubb couldn't get to him. Zach Sealer got to him once. Christian Wilkins couldn't get to him. Andrew Van Ginkel, who we've been praising all season long, could not get to him. Nobody could get to him. Why? Is it because the pass rush suddenly forgot how to play defense? No. The Baltimore Ravens offensive line is bigger and stronger than the defense. Sorry, it is. And that's why Lamar Jackson had all day to throw the football. What does Tua have to do? 2 seconds, he doesn't get that ball out, he's running for his life. That is not good offensive line play. You need guys, the Miami Dolphins need Connor Williams back. That's what they need. And they're not going to get him back until next season, provided that he re-signs with them. We don't know if that's going to happen yet. Miami needs Robert Hunt back. Miami needs Isaiah Wynn back, or somebody else who's going to play left guard. They need Teron Armstead healthy again. I know, that's a difficult one. Austin Jackson got paid. He needs to continue to improve and not start falling backwards, because now that he got paid, he doesn't have to try as hard. I'm not saying that he's not trying hard. I'm sure that he is. I know that he wants to prove that he's worth the contract that he got. But Austin Jackson still has work to do to be able to make sure the naysayers don't suddenly turn on him. I'm not going to go there yet, but I need to see more from him. I need to see him to continue to go up, not go backwards or sideways. This game just frustrated the ever-living crap out of me. And I'm sure that it did the same for many of you out there as well. We have to come to terms with the fact that the Miami Dolphins are a soft football team. They are a finesse football team. And in spite of all of their efforts to try to shake that label and act like they can play physical football, yeah, they can play physical football when they are not facing a physical football team. They have to either be facing a bad team or a team that is also known for their finesse. Every time they run into a bigger and stronger football team, which hopefully Buffalo has lost some of that edge because they haven't been playing very well these past few weeks, hopefully they'll be able to beat Buffalo at home at Hard Rock Stadium. Because if they can't, I mean, you're going to go to the wild card and face the Kansas City Chiefs again? Great. Fantastic. And not only that, you won't even be at home. You'll be in Kansas City, where Patrick Mahomes will be very happy to go ahead and go back to his old roots. He still has not played a playoff game on the road. You know that? That's awful. The fact that he's able to do that is just credit to him for being who he is and being incredible. But my God, man, for once, just make this guy have to do something on the road just once. So that's going to be it for this show. I appreciate you all listening to my rant. Maybe some of you were nodding your heads and agree with me. Maybe some of you guys are ready to just write something awful in the comments. If that's what you want to do, I give you full credit for it. I go ahead and give you permission to say whatever you want. This show is open forum. If you guys have something to say to me, you can go ahead and say it. I'm willing to listen to basically anybody at this point. So, by the way, just real quick, if you haven't listened to anything else I've said all this time, make sure you listen to this. Use that promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up going to prizepicks.com. It's the easiest way to get into your daily fantasy. And of course, use the links in the description below to go to My Nintendo Store, and you'll be able to get some bonus items upon making your purchases. So, that's going to be it. We will see you all on Tuesday for Pulse of Fins Nation live at 7:30 p.m. And you will, of course, have Fins Nation throughout the rest of the week on Wednesday and Friday. Miami has a big game coming up. Not that this game wasn't, but this is it. The last game of the season. Buffalo's coming for the AFC East title. Miami needs to win it if they want to be able to keep that title and keep Buffalo out of it. So we will see what happens. Good night.